Hello and welcome everybody. This is Mechanical Gamer here, and this is episode 2 of our Let's Play Satisfactory walkthrough. Today's episode is entitled The Iron Age because we are going to begin getting started with iron production, but before we could do that, I'm going to set a few objectives here. Let me show you how that's done. So, for those who don't realize it, you can do this. All you have to do is go into you hit tab to bring up your inventory, and if you scroll over to the right side, you'll see the screen has a little black bar there. If you click, it'll allow you to put in objectives. So, objectives or our to-do list. So, in our to-do list, we're going to have our first, which is going to be biomass. Biomass facility. Now this is going to be doing two things. One, it's going to be producing the biomass, and two, it's going to be producing power. So we need to keep in mind that we need to leave room for the upgraded biomass logs that are going to come later. Our second objective today will be iron plates. And there's no saying that we're going to get all these done tonight because I've only got maybe 30 to 45 minutes to play tonight. I do got to work in the morning, but it is what it is. And then of course iron rods. So if you hit escape, it won't save, but if you close it out, it'll save them here and you'll see them. So we're going to want to scope out some spaces where we think would be great for a biomass facility. And we're going to let this concrete build up while we do that. Let's take a look and see how much biomass we have available in our current system. Let's do a restock real quick because we might as well get ahead of it. You know that that's going to come and bug us later, even though we're really not that far down. 146 is only 54 burned through, so yeah. Alright, so I'm thinking I want to put my biomass facility down by the lake. Down on the river here. So either this side over here or the other side over on the other side, which I think it's probably going to be best over on the other side. We're going to scope out where we think it will be best, and we'll bring a line on down over that way for power. And then we're going to have to do the setup queues for equipment. We need to make sure that we have all the materials we're going to need to build this biomass facility. Yeah, I think down here would be good for that. And probably going toward the cliffside. So yeah, this would be a perfect spot. So put our power pole in here. Now we're going to start out with 10 biomass burners. More than likely that is going to be expanded to about 15 or 16. To really get us going between now and our coal production line. But it is time for us to get rid of the temporary equipment, which is what we've been dealing with in the last episode, and start actually building a facility. So let's do some maths here. So I'm going to estimate. Now I know the man, that's new. We'll worry about that in a minute. So I'm going to add these to my hotbar. Add a few things to my hotbar. So first things in logistics, 5. This is going to be here. Then we're going to scroll over to page 2. And we're going to put our foundations in here. We're going to put 2 meter as 1. a 2-meter ramp in 2, and the walls on 3. Alright, so let's start taking a look at what we're going to need here. We want 10 biomass burners, so we're going to set up... wrong one. We're going to set it up to where we get that information set up. So that we can grab all the materials we need. Logistics, we'll worry about belts. This is kind of a hard one to determine exactly how many we're going to need there because those are lengthy. We're going to need 4 of these. We'll have 1 of these in inventory because we're going to be using that quite a bit. Let's see here. See, splitters. Let's see here. I know we're going to need a merger. We're going to need 5 of these. Let's do 2 mergers just to be safe. And then, of course, constructors, we're going to need 2 to start. And that right there should be everything that we need. So now I could scroll this list. I can see right now we have no reinforced plate. We're shy on the iron rod, so we're going to have to do some work for that. Iron plate, that's already in production. And this facility is producing them as fast as it can. Okay, so we've got the iron plate. You know, more than enough iron plate. Oh, by the way, we're also going to want 60 foundations. It's probably going to be at least 62 meter foundations. To do this work. So that's gonna put our requirements for iron plate up. It's gonna say we need 300 concrete, which we have that available in here. Actually get a stack of 500. How nice. Like I said, we want to try to not rush it too much to where that thing get ahead of that thing. But our next objective, of course, will be to set up our concrete facility. We're going to need that as well. So, you know, might as well add that to the list of to-dos. And sometimes it's easier, guys, just to Control-C, Control-V these things in. So you space, Control-V. Change what you need to change. So in this case, concrete. And we're set and ready to rock and roll. Click that X button to save, and you're ready to rock and roll. Alright, so we're not going to worry about tier stuff tonight. That's not our primary focus at the moment. Our biggest focus is to get off of this producing the iron and producing power the way we are. So we're going to build some rods. We're going to get the 4 reinforced iron plates that we need to build the constructors. As you can see here, we can see our list of things that we need. And reinforced iron plates and iron rods are all we're missing. We're going to also manufacture some cable because I guarantee you this isn't enough. So we'll be taking care of that as well. Because, yeah, while we said 30, we need 26. That's just to build the machines. This excludes the wiring to hook everything up. So let's talk about how we're gonna do this for the production. So we're gonna have 2 production lines, one for biomass leaves and one for biomass wood. Each of these production lines will be able to produce the biomass we need for manufacture, and it'll store in its own separate container. Later on, of course, as we grow, those containers will be disconnected. Those completion containers will be disconnected from the biomass plant themselves. A new set of constructors will be put in along with 2 new containers that will store biomass, the pure biomass logs that come later on. But we have to get there first. We're nearly there now, actually. Once we deal with logging, the chainsaw, we get that ability to use the biomass logs instead of just biomass itself. So I think it's called pure biomass. I can't remember off the top of my head. You know, I am going to double check that because I don't like that idea. Let's take a look here. Solid biofuel. That is what's going to be next. We'll want that production at some point too. As soon as we get it, we're going to want to transfer over. It's a lot more efficient than standard biofuel. Plus, we're going to begin logging here pretty soon, where we start cutting down this forest that's around us. So that's one of the first technologies we're going to grab is the chainsaw, because we need to start cutting down the forest to make room for our factory. Right now we're kind of limited on space, and that's a major problem for our expansion plans. So just turn this stack of iron into steel, or this iron plates into, iron ingot into iron rod. Thank goodness we don't have to manufacture iron plates. We got plenty of those, and we're manufacturing them and storing them as we go. These little production runs in the beginning of your playthrough, if you're deciding to do that, play along here. This allows for your concrete factory to get ahead and your iron plate factory to get ahead, so that you have that for your foundation. Remember, those two are the most important for foundational laying. Iron rods are really simple to make by hand, so my suggestion would be to make those by hand. C3 and 4. Now, of course, we're going to need a crap ton of screws to grab this technology, this new one here, this obstacle clearing. It's 500 screws, 100 wire, 100 cable, and 100 concrete, so it's an expensive guy, but it will be worth it in the end. So let's produce some of the cable now, because like I said, we don't have enough. Let's get this up to right around 150, 200, and then we'll head on over to the coast over there and begin building ourselves up a biomass power plant. Now later on, when we get the Caterium mine up and running, which by the way will happen probably before we finish Tier 2, we're going to see that ability for smart splitters along with circuit breakers, which we're going to want everything that's running on mains power. We're going to want a main power grid with circuit breakers, so that if we need to conserve energy, we could shut a factory down if need to be. Everything should be separated by a CB in these early stages of the game. Alright, so here we are down at the shore. Ooh, nice big old chunk of sulfur there. Okay, so first things first, guys. We want to align to the world grid. We do that by holding down the control key. If we hold down the control key, you can see how it's kind of locking from square to square. This is important for base alignment later. Now we're going to zoop, so we're going to hit our R key to bring that up to go straight to zoop. We're going to zoop out 10. So you can see we've already used up half of our grids. A little over half, so 33 out of 60. And now we're going to set up these production lines before we go any further. So the one on the left, it doesn't care which way you do it. The one on the left will be wood, and the one on the right will be leaves. It's really your choice as to whether which way you want to do it. You don't have to do it exactly the way that I am if you don't want to. That is up to you. We're going to bring our constructors in now. We're going to link up our constructors. We're going to set this one to leaves. We're going to set this one to wood. We're going to put a power pole in between. We're going to bring this down here. So this facility would not be on a power grid. doesn't need to be on a power grid. We're going to bring in our storage containers again. And honestly, guys, just remember, the closer you get these, the better. It gives you more room for space later. I'll tell you the truth, you probably won't need to upgrade this facility much. But like I said, we need enough room for another one of these that's going to go in here, and another cargo container which is going to go there. So our connector, our bridge, which by the way we don't have in here, which we need to get in here, we're going to put that on 4. So let's take care of that real quick. So we're going to go into our logistics. We're going to grab the merger, and we're going to hit 4. We're going to get rid of that stupid that lock. So keep in mind, guys, you do not need. So let's take a look here. So machine, cargo container on this. Let's do it on the end of this block here. This one right here is where we're going to do it. We'll merge. Okay, there's our merge. Now, if you hit control like I just did there, you can take these and expand them out. And voila, now we've got that up and running. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a temporary facade up here, a temporary fixture. I'm going to go to my 2 because I need to assign this. And I'm going to assign that tower that we were looking at to line 4. That way I have it in my production queue. We're going to have that point this way. So right now we have to use towers and other means for getting a bird's eye view. We cannot get the bird's eye view that we would normally get, that we will be able to get later on in the game any other way. So because later on in the game we're going to have things like a jetpack. We'll have things like the flight suit, which really is a handy tool, but that's not till tier 7. That's a long ways away. So we're going to go into power. We're going to hit 5 to get this on the power. So this will be where our power is from now on, and we want this to be expandable. So what we're going to do is we want to start our power production as close to this input as we can. So we're going to do 1 act. That's not right. We want these as centered as we can too, if we can. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next we're going to bring in the splitters. Now your merger, you just hold your E key down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then of course 5. We see a mistake. Let's fix that. That's not what we want. Okay, now we're going to do our power on this side. We're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. And we can see here we've ran out of iron because we overestimated. So let's go grab some more iron real quick. Is this coal? Deuterium. Ooh. So we do have quite a few ores here that will be useful in helping. We're going to gather these leaves as we go because we're going to get this biomass burning facility up and running here pretty quick. So we might as well clear some of this as we go. There we go. And yes, this Iron Age might be multiple parts, considering the lateness of the hour. 280, perfect. So definitely now we have enough steel to go around for a while. Now we'll just collect some of this underbrush here as much as we can. We're going to want to collect. We're going to be collecting quite a bit of this anyway because, like I said, we're going to need it for our base power setup. And we are going to get ready to do some clear cutting of the forest. We got to watch out for that hatcher. The last thing we want to deal with is the flying crabs. But I will say flat out, anything is better than a rocket hog. Now, if you don't know what that is, go look it up. Satisfactory rocket hogs. So, in every world, at least one hog has a jetpack. And if he sees you and manages to get it off, and sets it off, more than likely, sets that jetpack off, more than likely he's going to try to blow you up. Okay, so now we've got that. Now, it's up to you whether or not you want to do it like I'm doing. I like to put my power poles right on top of my mergers. That way they're above everything. This power plant's not going to be encased in anything for the time being. It's just to get us up and running. We'd like to have every building encased at some point, so we will be revisiting this at some point in the future. So I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one here. This power pole that we just put in will be used. That will be used to link up the next set of constructors that will be used for manufacturing the biomass logs. I don't know why I can't seem to remember that name tonight. The leaves will go in here. Logs will go in here. Yeah, solid biofuel. That's what it is. So we're going to now go and do some collection. We are going to need a lot more of this. A lot more biofuel if we're going to get anywhere with this. Alright, collect, collect, collect. That's all we can do. Okay, we're clearing around the iron. We got to make sure that spitter hasn't respawned. This iron vein that you see us up here right next to right now, this is the iron vein that we're going to be using. For some of our productions to start. The one that we're working with right now, we're not going to be using that first. Now, keep in mind, you can hold the E key down to collect. Once you collect one, just hold the E key down and use that to collect. Do not have to hit it multiple times. And just keep spamming your E key to do it, you can just hold it down to collect, which is a handy little trick to know when you're dealing with collecting resources, particularly biomass. Which, just so you know, you're really only going to be collecting biomass in the opening stages of your Satisfactory game. Once you hit tier 3, you're going to hit a point where you basically hit a point where you start building a facility that produces power using coal, and you no longer have to collect the resources to power your base anymore. Well, we put a little bit in down there, so that should already be starting to kick the biomass burners on. But probably, if we went and looked at our thing, our power grid, we'd probably see it fluctuating up and down on production as those biomass burners are turning on and off as they are trying to fill up. But this is the tedious parts of this game, is the initial setup. Things I promise they will pick up in speed once we get the production lines up and running. Now, we're going to do a specific setup for our production lines where they build out and the return from the resources comes back to where inputs are. That way it's easily expandable. We can continue growing that line without having to put any effort into readjusting our conveyors or anything like that. We want to just expand and add onto our conveyor and upgrade our conveyor. Okay, we see they're all online except for that one, but we can see the biomass is coming in, and it's kind of limited by the speed. But usually what will happen here, and this is the fact, is where my cursor's at, these will fill up first, and then it'll fill up until they're all full. Alrighty then. We're collecting up here on this plateau because this is going to be our primary building location for the ironworks. Alrighty. Now let's go clear some of the materials out around our proposed location for our concrete factory, because we're going to be shutting this down to turn that on. We're going to put in 3 constructors for our concrete production line. We can't nearly produce that many right now. Produce that full with those right now. We won't be able to actually do a full production with those until we have tier 3 built and are able to transport 270 material a minute. Watching out for stingers, as I know there are some stingers that hang out around this location. Okay, so we're getting this all cleared out. This has actually been a great opportunity for us to let our current industries, our current productions get ahead of us so that we have materials to work with. Because we are definitely going to be able to use and create those, or use those resources up a lot faster than it can produce them. perfect. We've got 3,000 leaves. That's perfect. Alrighty then. Let's go and so yes, we're going to do our run and slide, our jump and slide, because it does speed up the speed of our Pioneer. Alrighty then, let's get these into that facility because we see that we're not producing any more biofuel. And that might not be connected. We're going to have to go check in on that. Let's go check in on that. That one might not be connected to the conveyor system. We might have missed it. That does happen sometimes. Because using the lookouts, we're not able to adjust our heading. Is this one? There's no fuel. It's just these aren't full yet. That's really the problem. Let's see, how many does this need a minute? Yeah, so we only need one of these. Alright, let's have a look at that power grid. And we can see there's still some fluctuations, so we're not completely balanced yet. But we are balanced enough that we can get started on the next line, and that is the concrete line. What we have now, we're going to tear that down completely, so we're going to take care of that first. And we're going to get it up onto a foundation. Let's do an inventory check real quick here. 258 steel plate. Let's grab some more just to be safe. By the way, when we start building up our iron production up there, we get that up and running, we'll have this one do some rods for us for a time. Alright, so I will begin disassembling first. We will disassemble this. So keep in mind that we're not doing a whole lot of this type of building with the walls yet because we don't have the infrastructure for that. Or the materials for that. So that's why you're not seeing a lot of that right now. We got to spend most of it on... most of it's got to be spent on the foundations we're using to build our buildings. Okay, so we need more iron. What am I coming here? Yeah, we need more of this. We need more reinforced plate, so we got to build a couple of those. And we're going to need another 2 constructors, so... yeah, let's get that up and running now. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to place down our lustrous lookout tower. We're going to want storage over here. We're going to have storage actually be right here in this corner. Actually, I want those further over. We want to be able to make this line expandable. Splitters. I don't know if I can get those mergers behind it with ease. I'll find out. No. Gonna be a bit painful, so we're gonna have to put these ones in by hand. That thing's at a bad angle. So when we get the flight suit, those type of things are gonna change quite a bit. Let's get these programmed for concrete. So we can Control C, Control V. Control C is to copy, Control V paste. Once you're right on top of the machine for configuring, you can do that. So keep that in mind. That's a nice, helpful, handy tip. Okay, so once again, on top of the and I see a mistake already, so these two should be so that's an input right there. We want our inputs to be pointing. We want this conveyor line to be as straight as possible. Because we'll probably just drop the mergers in right behind it to run. Let's get this connected together now. Let's bridge these together. We'll put them on a power pole right here. And then we'll bridge them into the power network. And perfect. That's a perfect alignment with our previous grid liner. So that completes these two tasks. So now we've got two tasks done. Let's label them as such. We're going to put an X in each of these. And you can see now they're lit up. We're going to begin now the Iron Age. We've got our concrete supply back up and running, and we've got that running up in an area now where we'll get a little bit more per minute than we were getting before. So for the iron, to start off, we're going to need to, let's get our list of materials, our builds of materials, or recipes as you want to call them. I call them bills of materials because that's what I deal with every day at work. I will probably abbreviate that as a bomb. Okay, so we're going to queue. We're going to need 2 of these. And we'll probably need several of those, but splitters and mergers, I know for a fact. We're going to need 8 of these and 10 of these. Foundations we're not going to worry about. Walls we're not going to worry about. Constructors we're going to need 8. We're going to need 8. So I actually got this wrong here. We need 20, and we're going to need 16. And see, we're seeing we don't have enough cable, so we're going to have to manufacture some more cable. And we're going to need more iron rod and more reinforced plate. So let's get those materials up and running. Oh, another thing we forgot to add. We're going to need 2 of these. Let's get this part done first. This is actually not going to be able to finish this off of this. I don't think we're... Actually, we might get enough to produce the 16. No, not 16. Probably like 12 of them. No. 14. I'll make it 15. So we're just shy of our requirements for that. And you can see we sucked up all of our iron rod to do it. So if we could tell while this doing that, let's scroll down this to-do list. Yes, those are the only 2 supplies we really need right now. We'll worry about doing the wire thing a bit later. Now we're going to be building amongst the trees at first. And we don't really have a choice in the matter. It is something we'll be able to fix later on. We'll get rid of those forests when we get obstacle clearing research. That's going to be one of the first things we're going to research. That way we can get the chainsaw and really get that biomass. After obstacle clearing, we're going to probably want that Mark II conveyor. Actually, no, we're going to want the, actually, yeah, probably that, or either that one or the assembler. So that we can start mass producing, our own reinforced iron plates without having to construct them by hand. And I'm going to tell you now, it's an important resource. Reinforced iron plates are used in the constructor, so it's always good to have handy a series of those, because eventually your conveyor belts, you will upgrade them to tier 3, and you'll start using steel instead. Convert over to steel at that point. Then tier 4 is encased beam, and then of course tier 5 is alcoas aluminum. So, not like we have to really worry about those at the moment. Those are so far into the future that it's going to be a while before we get there. Alright, almost done with the iron ingots. And keep a note, when you start doing coal, you're going to notice our biomass plant won't be producing anything at all. It won't be producing any power, it'll just be sitting there. And we'll just be basically making solid biofuel, which will be then used for powering other things like our vehicles for transportation. And of course our chainsaw for cutting down the forest. But when we start getting up to that point where we're dealing with fuel, we're going to want to work very quickly to get turbo fuel before we build our first fuel plant. Turbo fuel is so much more efficient, guys, than regular fuel. keep that in mind. You could do a lot more with that, and we are almost nearly on top of an oil field. It's not the best oil field in the game, but it is a decent one. And there it is. And you know, we might as well do some of this copper, get it ahead, because we're going to need more than 96 cable because of all the other connections we got to make. So we're going to have to do some copper work too. And we're definitely overdue for it. Eventually, like I said, we'll have that up on a production line as well. Once that happens, then we're in great shape. So we're gonna grab all. Now we're also gonna grab these, but this time we're gonna pick up the miners because we're gonna use those 2 miners for those right there are gonna give us the resources for our 2 miners. Because if you take a look here, we've got a miner labeled, and it actually doesn't show it here, but we need 2 portable miners to actually do anything with that. And actually, they're right here. Never mind. It says we got 4, so we already had them in inventory. So we'll produce the ingots first, both the iron and the copper. And then we'll produce iron rod and wire. And a couple more cables. We also see that we have an inventory chance for concrete. We should probably take advantage of that as well. We picked up some concrete somewhere, probably from when we tore down the old concrete line to put in the actual production line. So we'll probably want to fix that as well. I'm hoping my video image is a lot better this time than it was last. I think I did some adjustments to my OBS studio. So it should be full screen now. Don't know why OBS was being a pain in the butt, but it was. Okay, we are now waiting on that. Cat, you're gonna have to stay back. You're getting in the way. And it sure looks like it's doing a lot better. I just double checked it. Yes, I do have a kitty here. His name is Jack. He's a tuxedo. He's about 5 years of age and still a little bit rambunctious for his age, even though he is now at the height of his adult life and his adult years. And he's still a good kitty, though. I feel sorry for any mice that come across this one, because he'll tear him limb from limb and not think twice. And I'm gonna rub on him while we're waiting for these productions. Hopefully This will be one of the last times we have to do this for major components like this. And the next will be the concrete. Then we'll do the iron rod. Then we'll do the wire and the cable. Hopefully, we might get lucky. Like I said, I'm probably going to want to cut it out within the next half hour, or we might get most, if not all, of the Iron Age done. If that's the case, then we'll be doing a copper line in the next episode. Copper line's guaranteed to happen in the next episode regardless. It's just first things first. We have to focus on getting the iron up and running. And then we'll focus on copper, and then we'll focus on screws. We'll definitely want to make sure we set up our iron rods to do that, so that it has a splitter right there at the cargo container, so that we could send half the materials into the cargo container, because we'll be needing to store rods, and the other half can head towards screw production. Screws are going to be rather important, guys. Just remember, you need them for reinforced iron plates. And once we can start manufacturing those on our own without having to do it here at this workbench, that's going to be a lifesaver. It's going to speed the series up quite a bit, because we'll be manufacturing them and preparing for some of our first space elevator parts. That's another thing that will probably be happening once the copper lines up. We're going to want to start finding out where we're going to put this particular thing. This hub's going to move, but we also want to find where are we going to put the space elevator. Where do we want that to be? Usually we want to keep the hub and the space elevator relatively close to one another, as they go in tandem. In my opinion, they go in tandem. Plus, this station being set up is also going to have the MAM next to it, as well as that workshop as well. Concrete. Well, we had exactly 99 in here. Wow. That means we're going to have 0 left over. That's perfect. Perfect is that. Iron rod. I am working on setting up my iron production. Safe Super Earth. Yeah, iron production. I just got done with the biomass plant. We need iron plates and we need iron rods tonight. And if I can get those before I gotta call it, then that'd be great. But we kind of ran out of materials to really handle that. I mean, we do have enough cable, but not enough cable and wire. But that's going to cause issues when we start wiring everything up. We really don't have enough for that. All right, iron rods are now complete. Move on to wire. Yes, I want to automate the copper, but that's going to be in the next episode. All right. Cannot wait for this. Per session, that depends. Tonight will only be for about an hour to an hour and a half. But if it was a weekend, I could do 3 to 4 hours. But since I do have to wake up and go to work in the morning around 6 a.m. That means I gotta get on out, get on the road. Yeah, I've done that too, but I decided to go for the technology first. I'm already through tier 1. And I wanted to get everything onto a platform. I mean, yeah, if I didn't want to do platform, I can automate all of that probably in about an hour to an hour and a half. Especially since we started from tier 0 start. Normally I don't make a nice factory when I do it fast, but we're going to try to keep things organized for this run through. Alright. I do have the iron plate, right? Yeah. I need 16. Is that number correct? Yeah, that's for 8. That is correct. Yeah, we really want to get that awesome sink so we can get those, Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to avoid, Diver. I'm trying to avoid, having to tear it all out. I already had to do that with my, my temporary concrete line, and I'm going to have to do that with my temporary iron plate line as well. Let's see here, though. I'll probably have it switch over to screws here in a minute. That way we can get some of those as well while we work on putting in these platforms. I only got 444 concrete. We're going to have to go take a look and see how much we've got in the... Okay, that should be enough. Yeah, that should be enough. Let's have this convert over to screws. Ah, just not high enough. Oh, come on, behave. There we go. Yeah, not a whole lot for the concrete, so hopefully we don't run out before we get this guy set up. Oh, I do miss my Blade Runner. I'll have to clear cut all this out of the way at some point, but right now is not the time for that. Get these iron nodes set up. Okay, let's rotate this one 90 degrees off axis. This one will be perfectly straight down. Leave it as that. So now let's start working on getting this upper platform. We're going to want to be at least a couple meters above this plane because it's at this is a nice hill. Actually, let's put a foundation in, that way it knows where it needs to be. We're going to switch over to the 1 meter foundation. This is going to look ugly for a while. We'll address that later, though. Oh, screw it. We're just going to do it from down here. That tree's gonna be in the way. Great. We're gonna have to be one further over to the south here. That stupid tree. Okay, let's get our tower in so that we can see what we're doing from above. This is gonna be our smelter level. Okay, maybe that's not gonna help us. Yeah, I agree with you. I think if we couldn't explode it, we'd hate nature. That is for sure. Fortunately, I don't have gunpowder, any of that gunpowder stuff researched yet. Soon, though. No, really? You're going to behave this way today, computer? Oh, that's too far forward. Oh, nice. I hit the tilde key again. How nice. Configure. Alright, that's taken care of. Okay, so let's put that cargo container over here. Actually, there's no need for a cargo container at this level. That's the next level up. We'll merge this line, run it over like so. Okay. There we go. Oh, really? You're going to be this way today? Okay, so now we can bring this guy up. Let's bring our path out a little bit. That way we can come right up onto the path here. That's not the right height. Okay, so that's this level. Getting that nice ironworks up and running. Let's go up another 2. We're going to go up 4 actually this time. And like I thought, we'd be out of concrete before we know it. Let's see how much it's produced in the few minutes. Oh, yeah, power in the conveyor belts would stink. As for Satisfactory, I've been playing, I got about 500 or so hours into the game. This game I've only been doing for about maybe 2.5 hours. Yeah, 2.5, so not too bad. Did an hour and a half last night, and I'm at about an hour and 6 now, so yeah. Now we just gotta hope that we can get that concrete line up and running fast enough. I may have to let this game run a little bit to let that concrete line get ahead of us at some point. That way we can have materials to build, otherwise it's gonna be a boring night. Yeah, I got this game back in 2023. I picked this one up and I picked up Dyson Sphere program at the same time. Both of them are rather fun in their own way, if you know what I mean. Now I'm keeping my eye on out for another one that's coming out later this year called Star Rupture, which looks phenomenally good. It should be out sometime in Q4, so September through December of this year. Okay, so where did I put that merger? Is it right here? Oh, it is. Yeah, it's gonna be ugly, but I personally don't care. We'll get the floor holes in a minute. We'll get the floor holes later. Okay, so I need. Where did my mining equipment? Where did my frickin' constructor go? Really? Okay, well, I guess I must have hit a key that I shouldn't have because my constructor's disappeared. Put it on 1. So keep in mind you can copy paste. That is a handy thing to use when you're doing this game. Alright, let's see here. 1. Oh, come on. Oh, there's a lizard doggo down there. We'll have to go domesticate him at some point. Okay, let's put our container, or we'll store these goods here. We will drop a conveyor splitter here as well for future expansion. Now the reason why we're running these belts back the way we're doing is so that we can just expand this line down without having to rip out belts and replace them. It makes for a cleaner build later on. And it's one of those heartfelt lessons that many of my colleagues in the industry I work learn the hard way. Let's see, yeah, perfectly in line with that guy. That way these things go where they're supposed to. Okay, these are all programmed now. Okay, this can go here. Is that a bit far away for us? Yeah, it is. Iron production has started. Perfect. Let's go and mark that as complete. Iron plates up and running. Now we're going to work on the rods. We're going to need some more concrete for that. Yeah, I have a base, a game that's before this one that is spaghetti. But then again, I got everything kind of running into a main factory in that one. I've got railways that are bringing materials in. It's just a mess, but I've learned a lot from that. Yeah, as for concrete, that's probably what we're going to have to do. I think there's another node around here. Let me take a look. Oh yeah, there's another node on the beach. We could just pipe that into those conveyors up there and get 120 or whatever it is. Let's see what this one down here's value is. You're gonna watch out for that stinger, that spitter over there. Okay, so where is it? I saw it over here. Oh, I know where it's at. It's over here, actually. Right on top of us. I think this is another pure node, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it is. This will come in handy. Forgot about this node. Rotate. There we go. You don't want to rotate. That's not where I want you to be. Just pipe this guy in. And getting 40 a minute's a lot better than, I think it's 20 is what this thing can put out right now. Yeah, 20. this will be temporary. We'll have to change this up later. Okay, so we just ran out of steel. Well, if I have any left in here, I do, but looks like I am going to have to climb up the tower and grab some out of that container. Eventually we'll want to try to pipe that to a centralized location, but for now it's perfectly fine up there. Functioning properly, yeah. It's just getting started, that's why we're not quite there yet. Okay, can't quite jump far enough yet. Don't have those blade runners yet. Too used to those things. That should be enough steel anyway. Okay. Not where I want it to be. Okay, that'll take some time to get over there. These 60 items per minute feed rates are slow. Meanwhile, hopefully we'll have quite a good chunk of steel when we get back up there, because we're going to need that now. 180, that's only going to give us about 40 or so platforms. We got 300 now, so yeah, we should start seeing more production. Definitely, when I get on the next episode, we'll have more concrete sitting around. Yeah, 720 is not a bad megawatt start. That's not the... Trust me, wait till you get to fuel plants. When you get to those things really put out the power. 250 megawatts per generator versus 75. And when that time comes, I'd also recommend that you use turbo fuel instead of regular fuel, because you get more bang for your buck that way. Let's see how we're doing on this. Luckily for us, we don't have to go all the way back with this right now. Just far enough back to get all the machines in. We'll put these lines up right in line with each other for now. Let's see, this one here. This one here, we're probably going to want to inset further back, because this miner's literally right here. What are we missing? Iron. not going to have a whole lot of that for a while, but these will catch up eventually. When we start building the equipment, they'll catch up. That would be nice if we had the awesome sync running, because then we can just turn this. Oh, actually, that's low enough. I don't think we have to worry about it. We'll just go right here. So our center line, of course, this time is going to be right here. Have our splitters come in. Set these to iron. And of course we're out of steel plate again. And it's just going to be a back and forth until we get that. Yeah, once I get this line set up, I'm going to be calling it a night. Seeing as it is almost 11 o'clock here on the West Coast. Right way there, perfect. Perfect. Out of iron again, how nice. Almost manufacture it faster by hand, but no. And the reason why it's saying 36 is that's what's needed for the constructors, or the storage container, I believe. Let's have a look here. 0. Containers 10. Constructors are... that's nothing with the constructors. It's something else. Oh, it's the splitters. Like I said, we didn't take into account the conveyor belts on our to-do list because we really don't know exactly how much we're going to need of that. That's the problem when you have a dynamic input, which is conveyor belts in my opinion are. Let's do this one. Let's do this one same as the last. Okay, we went a little too far forward on that. We're gonna set up the. We'll set up the the constructors while we wait on a little bit more iron. That's not enough to do much of anything, but I'll make it work. There we go. And now put the cargo container right here. We're going to put a splitter here. Because yes, we'll have to send iron rod across the way when we get the aisle up and running. Put our mergers are now going to go in here. Here. We're going to do this one coming out this way. That way it looks better. And we're out of iron again. There. Probably got half the iron this time, if not less. We're getting close to that point now where we got this all wired up. These are wired up now. These are our rod plants. And these are going to be running at full tilt. All right. That's always the slowest part, waiting on materials. When we get those Mark II belts, that's going to be a godsend, because these are all pure iron nodes and stuff around here. So that's going to really allow for production to speed up once once those come in. kind of what we set up for. All right. So what am I producing at that one? Am I still producing rods? Or has it been switched back over to plate? Still producing rods. Concrete, yes I do. Let's go see how that's doing. Should have doubled the output. Yes, we did. Now our bottleneck is in the iron plates. We're going to convert this back over to iron plate. By the time we get back up there, we'll be ready to rock. We're almost set up and ready to call it a night too, so that's good. Conveyor splitter 5. I think I got something wrong there because we got them all set up, don't we? My number's wrong. That's what it was. We can pull those off. We don't need another 5. I think we've got them all. Point we're just setting up the conveyor belts, and we'll get the miner turned on and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Episode 3 will be setting up our copper line on the other side of the hill here. That will happen at a later date, pretty soon too, by the way. Probably tomorrow, or if not tomorrow, then probably Thursday. Friday night I'm out with friends. I do a Space Engineers night with them. I don't broadcast any of that. There's that now. Perfect. So we want this to be I went too far. I am not awake. And voila. We've got these all ready to rock and roll. Now all we have to do is turn the miner on. And we are now through the Iron Age, as I call it. Of course, we'll set up screw production later, but this is more important. Do a little bit more harvesting here. We can go and feed that biomass plant real quick some more materials. Chainsaw here. That's one of the first things I'm going to unlock. Okay, so we could kill this production line now. We'll do that by shutting down the miner. It's going to be wasting power now. We're not going to really use that. That's going to get pulled up for other things. Figured we would need more biomass. It's yellow down there. That means those machines are empty as can be. And at least this one is. See, how are we doing on power? We were stable, so that means we have full machines. Perfect. Well, let's get back up to the hub and then we will have our closing here. First things first, let's check off the last goal. Okay, that didn't save because I hit the escape key like an idiot. Now we get the chainsaw. All these trees have to go. They are in the way. And therefore must die. Alright. So we have achieved our objectives for tonight. We are going to clear those away. Let's clear those guys away. And I keep doing that. And our first objective in the morning, when we get back into this, we're going to do some obstacle clearing. We'll worry about getting that. We'll get a screw line set up for that, but first we're going to do copper. So let's set the objectives for our next session. So copper line. And we're going to call it a copper line because that's technically what we're dealing with. Screws. Screws are second. The next one we're going to work on will be obstacle clearing. All right, so those three at least we're going to have. I can guarantee... Okay, so I didn't do something right, and I know what it is. The code does not like it if it doesn't have the backslash for end of line. So we're going to do obstacle clearing. Then we'll do part assembly and logistics mark 2. These are going to be our primary objectives on the next run. So part assembly, that's what we need to put in here. And then logistics Mark II. Those are the 5 primary objectives. Of course, we probably should have one right here. After part assembly, we'll begin working on this one. And this will be the reinforced iron plate line. That way the Logistics Mark II goes more smoothly. Alright guys, that is our show for tonight. I will be catching you guys at a later date. This is Mechanical Gamer signing off, and I will see you all next time. Bye now.